What it do, YouTube? It is Dundee back with another reaction video. This is Kamala Harris on The Breakfast Club talking with DJ Envy and Charlamagne the God. I'm gonna be breaking down the stuff, the questions they ask her. I'm gonna be breaking down her responses in this video. Without further ado, let's get right into it.
Another meme says, Kamala Harris is not African American. Her parents were immigrants from India and Jamaica, and she was raised in Canada, not the United States. And it said, fact. That's what the meme said.
So I was born in Oakland.
Alright, so Charlamagne just asked her a question about this meme says her mom was Indian and her dad is Jamaican. And her dad is actually Indian as well. He was just born in Jamaica. So listen to her response. She just starts off saying she was born in Oakland.
Yeah.
and raised in the United States, except for the years that I was in high school in Montreal, Canada. And look, this is the same thing they did to Barack.
She did not deny anything Charlamagne just said. She just pretty much said where she was born and pretty much where she was. She kind of confirmed it. She didn't even deny the fact that her parents are not black. They aren't. They are not black. They are not Negro. They are not African American. Technically, and what I mean, they were not so-called slaves or truly the indigenous people of the Americas, classified. But see, when we use this term black, we tie it to the so-called African American, tied to the so-called slave. Her parents were never classified as so-called slaves or black people. So let's get into it.
Yes.
This is not new to us, and so I think that we know what they're trying to do. They're trying to do what has been happening over the last 2 years, which is powerful voices trying to sow hate and division among us.
Oh,
and so we need to
she just said it.
Recognize when we're being played.
Oh,
they're trying to do what has been happening over the last 2 years, which is powerful voices trying to sow hate and division among us. And so we need to recognize when we're being played.
That's exactly what's going on, people. Powerful voices trying to sell hate and division among us. This lady is not African American. Her parents are not African American. But yet we want to stamp this so-called black on her. Black is tied to African American. The term is used back from the 1700s to classify the so-called slaves. Nothing else. They didn't use that term. They tied it to so-called brown people. Now, this is in the dictionary. Then they took it away and made it solely identify African Americans, quote unquote, slaves. That's what the term black supposed to mean. Yet you are not black because you were not technically a slave. African American is a misnomer, and you are indigenous to the Americas. So there's just layers of confusion. Let me not rant. Let me just continue on with this. Let's skip to I believe she talks to about the 14-minute mark. Let's let her keep talking to the end.
I'm glad you mentioned Barack, because a lot of black people question if Barack was black enough. I see them doing the same thing to you. So what do you say to the people questioning the legitimacy of your blackness?
I think they don't understand who black people are. Because if you walked on Hampton's campus or Howard's campus or Morehouse or Spelman or Fisk, you would have a much better appreciation for the diaspora, for the diversity, for the beauty in the diversity of who we are as black people. So I'm not going to spend my time trying to educate people about who black people are.
All right, look. But I am. I'm going to spend my time educating people who black people are. See, the so-called black person, the real one, like I said, is classified to a so-called African American. Now, this was used in the United States Census. They was using the term black, but it first started off as colored. It didn't always used to be black. It used to be colored. Colored was identifying Indians, Asians, and other brown people. But later on, they came up with the word black to solely identify so-called African Americans, i.e. slaves, to classify the true indigenous people of the land, right? Any other marking was truly a foreigner. White, even Native American, Asian, any other race would be foreign, meaning you got the real benefits of the land. If you mark African American, slave, it meant you really want a slave, but basically it means you are identifying yourself as colored, i.e. So-called person of the land. Truly, that's what it means.
Because right now, frankly, I'm focused on, for example, an initiative that I have. It's called the LIFT Act, that is about...
All right, so she just finna rant. She changed the subject a little bit. We finna move on to another question. Hold on 1 second. Okay, let's get back into it. I think DJ Envy is about to ask her about people didn't think Obama did nothing. So he about to ask her what you gonna do. Because Obama didn't do nothing. So let's get into it.
I wanted to ask, with Barack Obama, when he was in office, a lot of African American people felt like he didn't do anything for black people. They felt like he did everything for, the LGBT community. He did things for, Spanish community, Latinos, but nothing for African Americans.
Yeah, so do you have an agenda for black voters?
Of course I do, but I also want to...
Of course she has an agenda.
Stand up for Barack Obama on that. Because, first of all, none of us can do enough. And we all know that. If you are a parent raising a child,
See how she's setting the tone? None of us can do enough.
We can never do enough.
Right.
As leaders, we can never do enough. It's important to acknowledge that. But let's also give people credit for what they've accomplished. I was just meeting yesterday and the day before with the presidents and chancellors of HBCUs. And we were talking about how under the Obama administration, for example, they extended Pell Grants, right? Which our kids really rely on to get them through school.
Right.
And extended it so it wouldn't just be for the school year, but through the summer. We can talk about what under President Obama happened in the Holder Justice Department around getting rid of the mandatory minimums, and in particular the crack and powder cocaine disparities, and also those investigations, pattern and practice investigations, so much. So, and a continuation of that would be part of my agenda. The black agenda has to include HBCUs and looking at the historical fact that when the federal government gives attention to HBCUs, we end up having a profound impact on black people in America. I think the numbers are something like almost 60% of black professionals in America have come from HBCUs, either in undergrad or graduate school.
Okay, all right, so she's saying to progress, she want to focus on HBCUs, all right? So if you follow my channel, which most of you don't, HBCUs were created, or should I say infiltrated, and educated the children of the land, and indoctrinated and put them through the same type of societies, and created these fraternities and sororities modeled after, should I say it, the Illuminati? No, I'm gonna just say Freemasonry. So the fraternities and the sororities, they are modeled after Freemasonry. Freemasonry is a part of the shadow government, right? It's really the Holy Roman Empire. All of that stuff is tied into it. All of the governments. These are the people who are really running everything. So when these HBCUs are nothing more than a subsidiary of what you go through. To be a so-called professional African American at something, HBCU is one of the fastest ways of doing it. You so-called get educated or indoctrined, programmed, and put in a system and a circle of financial stability and success via the school you went to and the connects you got going through that school and all of that, right? You have to be what she is, AKA, right? So you have to join one of the Divine Nines, go through the system to truly get that higher success. Now, if you just go to school, get your degree, go out into the workforce, that's your basic. To surpass and get higher, you join the frat, you join the sorority, which is a gang, truly. And it's the higher form, really, of the street gangs. So I'm going to break down a lot of this stuff in this video real fast. Y'all finna blow y'all mind real quick if you really don't know this girl.
So that is part of it. Part of it is what I was describing about focusing on families that are making less than $100,000 a year. Part of it is focusing on what we need to do around reform of the criminal justice system, understanding that the mass incarceration policies of this country have led to...
And if y'all know anything about reform means it's just gonna get worse. Reform means they make it more lenient so they can do more corrupt shit. So if you really understand reforms, that's what the whole Protestant thing when it came to the so-called religion and Christianity. They watered it down so they can get away with more stuff. That's what a reform is. But let's skip up to the part where she talks about reparations. Give me 1 second.
Because,
okay.
you know, nobody in America should have to work more than one job to be able to pay their bills. So we could go on and on.
Where do you stand on some form of reparations for black people? Because you see Mayor de Blasio saying the marijuana economy could be a form of reparations. Marianne Williamson says black people should get $100 billion in slavery reparations. Like, where do you stand on it?
Well, look, I think that we have got to address that. Again, it's back to the inequities. Look, America has a history of 200 years of slavery.
Mm-hmm. Notice she laughed before she said that. She laughed. I know we wasn't slaves. I know the true history of slavery, but she laughed before she said that. Now that can mean two things. Either it ain't true, or she could care less about the so-called slaves, right? She could care less about the so-called people that were so-called slaves.
Jim Crow. We had legal segregation in America.
Legal segregation, meaning, see how they use wordplay? Legal segregation, meaning the so-called slaves that y'all freed were segregated with the government? No, meaning the people of the land were not integrated or part of the colony. Segregated. The colonies came, established the colonies, the 13 colonies, and people that were not part of the colony were separated, segregated. Integration started what? Or civil rights movement started what? Integration. We was not discriminated against beyond a colony. Get that right, but you have to know this. She making it seem like these people came to America and the colonies was all that. And if you wasn't a part of the colony, you was just in the wild, wild west or something. Like, no, bro. You was still living a basic life. There was commerce here in America, not dealing with the colonies.
America.
Not dealing with the foreign government.
A very long time. The Voting Rights Act was only strong for 50 years, and then they wiped it out with this United States Supreme Court in the Shelby decision. Mm-hmm. To the point that 22 states immediately thereafter put in place laws that one court found were crafted with surgical precision to have black people not be able to vote. So,
to have black people not be able to vote. Why would you want to even be starting to be a part of a system that was so-called segregating you out of it? No. You were never a part of the system. Talking about not being able to vote. You were not a part of the system. You had to integrate to the system. You were tricked to integrate into something that didn't belong to you.
We've got to recognize, back to that earlier point, people aren't starting out on the same base in terms of their ability to succeed. And so we have got to recognize that and give people a lift up. And
give people a lift up. Y'all came and took over. The government came and took over, tricked us out of our land, tricked us out of our rights. And now they want us to think they finna lift us up. It's hard for us. It is out here. all of a sudden, y'all gonna help us. Nah, I ain't buying that one. I don't even want to hear the rest of that one. We finna skip to about her story. So Charlamagne is finna get into her story, or aka his story. So let's jump to that. Give me 1 second. Okay, I think I skipped up. I think we good.
Your parents civil rights activists?
Yeah, they were. They were active. They were. I mean, they were. My mother was actually a breast cancer researcher, but they met when they were active in the civil rights movement. Yeah, Maya and I, my sister, we joke we grew up surrounded by a bunch of adults who spent full time marching and shouting.
Yeah, and see, that's...
All right, hold on 1 second. Okay, he just asked about her parents being civil rights activists. Y'all, check this out.
Harris. And we all know that if Joe Biden should become president, God forbid, that she will be the real...
Shout out to Dane Calloway for putting out this info. Just dropped this today, I believe.
President of the United States. So, according to various news media outlets, you know, of the more traditional nature, Kamala Harris is a moderate Democrat. She's a pragmatic liberal. But does that square with reality? You know, her own voting record in the US Senate is to the left of both Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, but we're told she is a moderate Democrat. But I'd like to go into Kamala Harris's background because it's frightening, to put it mildly. Now, Kamala Harris is the daughter of Don Harris, a Jamaican economist, and Shyamala Gopalan, who was a cancer researcher from India. She died in 2009, I believe it was. These two people met together in Berkeley in the 1960s as students. They got married and they had Kamala and her younger sister Maya. But both of them were very...
Oh, whoa, look at they family. Look at the family. They not Negroes. Far from Negroes.
active in a group called the Afro-American Association.
Whoa, but they are a part of the so-called Afro-American Association. What did I tell y'all about y'all not Afro-Americans? What did I tell y'all about that?
This was one of the far left sort of black power.
Now, it was so-called Negroes a part of that too, but check out what bro's saying real quick before I jump back on Kamala.
Groups operating at the time. And it was, you know, these people openly supported Fidel Castro.
Now listen to who they support. But I'm going to go back to this picture. Check this out. Y'all see the so-called Negroes in the photo, right? Y'all see them. But they are, this was constructed by foreigners. Kamala's parents, and you see some pale faces, some so-called Hispanic faces as well, Indian. But look who they supported. Listen to my guy. Look, check out who this group was supporting.
Openly supported Fidel Castro. They supported Che Guevara. It was a Marxist group. Two members of the Afro-American Association, Bobby Seale and Huey Newton, would leave and go off to form the Black Panther Party. Two
people left this group her parents were a part of and created the Black Panther Party. The Black Panther Party stemmed from this foreign organization, the Afro-American. That shit was started off as foreign. This shit was an infiltration amongst our people, right? This is where the gangs came from. The Black Panther Party, right? This is where the gangs came from, essentially. Now check out what this evolves to. Listen to my guy right here.
China, militant, Maoist, terrorist Black Panthers who really serve as a model for today's Black Lives Matter. The leader of the group, Donald Warden, would later change his name to Khalid al-Mansour, and many years later would apparently write a letter to Harvard University recommending that a young Barack Obama should be admitted to that college. So
What?
Don Harris was later appointed as
That bro ain't they not like us. They not like us. Boy, you ain't a colleague, you a fucking colonizer.
affirmative action Marxist professor at Stanford University. At the time, Stanford only had one Marxist in the economics department and a group of radical students in the Union of Radical Political Economy, which later became a part of Democratic Socialists of America, which we know today from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Rashida Tlaib, and others. They mounted a big campaign at Stanford to bring more Marxists into the department.
If y'all stay tuned with me in my future videos, I will get into who Karl Marx actually was as well.
And they chose Don Harris as the most appropriate candidate. And after a several-month-long, I think it was a year-long campaign, he was appointed there in 1975.
Bro ain't got no lips.
Basically as an affirmative action Marxist. So Kamala Harris grew up in that kind of environment, you know, far left parents. She was basically a red diaper baby, the child of Marxists.
She was the child of Marxists. Her father, the epitome of a Marxist. Her mother was too. These people practically helped start the Black Panther Party. Truly, they had a hand in it. Now, I'm gonna fast forward to one quick thing, and then we gonna jump back on Kamala real fast. So stay tuned. Hold on 1 second. Alright, y'all. So check this out.
Phillips got about $10 million together. He started a group called Political Action Committee, later became called Power Pack, then Power Pack Plus. And he did mass voter registration drives amongst Black and Latino communities in 17 southern and southwestern states. And that's what is... Those registration drives are what he claims got his very good friend Barack Obama ahead of Hillary Clinton in the 2008 Democratic primary. Certainly Barack Obama is a big friend of Steve Phillips. You know, Barack Obama was at Steve Phillips's house in 2017, I believe it was, got a copy of Steve Phillips's new book. Nancy Pelosi got a copy too. Steve Phillips, when he was at Stanford University, was a very big part of Jesse Jackson's Rainbow Coalition. And what
Pay attention.
that was, it was run mainly by pro-Chinese communists from the League of Revolutionary Struggle, Communist Workers' Party, Line of March, Freedom Road Socialist Organization, etc. The Rainbow Coalition of Jesse Jackson, he ran for president in 1984 and 1988, and he did very, very well, far better than most people expected, because he drew an idea from a Black Panther who died in a hail of police bullets in 1970 in Chicago. The police raided his home, he shot back, and he came out the worst in that fight.
Now check this out. Now check out Fred Hampton's idea and what Jesse Jackson created from Fred Hampton's idea, pretty much. Check this out. This is what they are doing today. This is what Obama did. This is what Kamala is about to do. Now, it don't matter who you vote for. They eventually are gonna do this. It don't matter.
And Fred Hampton had the idea of the original Rainbow Coalition. You get the progressive whites, the progressive Latinos, and the progressive African Americans, and you meld them together into one force to give you more political influence. Well, Jesse Jackson got the progressive whites, the progressive Latinos, progressive blacks, progressive Asian Americans, progressive gays, progressive environmentalists, progressive Native Americans. So he had the red stripe, he had the lavender stripe, he had the yellow stripe, the green stripe, the white stripe, the black stripe, the brown stripe. And this is his terminology. This is not my terminology. Please understand that. But
He got the so-called blacks, the Latinos, the whites, the gays, the Indians, the environmentalists, Anybody on the so-called progressive movement, bring them all together. Let's stir up the pot. Ooh, this is how you get the so-called Rainbow Coalition. Dang.
The idea was you get all the radicals together in one organization, and that gives you a chance to win elections. Well, in those days, minorities were maybe 12 to 15% of the population. Today, they are well over.
There was a part of the colony, mind you. The population was over that, but if you were not a part of the colony, you wasn't counted. So, yes, the so-called blacks were a minority at a time until a lot of us started becoming what? Registered voters.
30%. So the idea was really before its time. And so Steve Phillips has updated that theory. That's what got Obama elected in 2008. The progressive whites with the minorities, with the people of color. That formed the winning Obama coalition.
The people of color. All brown people, right? Indians, Hispanics, Mexicans, Latinos, Dominicans, the Arab, Indian. All of these people can say they are of color. At one point, all of those people were considered colored until they came up with, well, not at first. First, colored only meant the indigenous people. Then they brought everybody into it. Then they created a new term, black. Now I think they got a new term, Afro-American. But this is how they had to divide us and to be like, hey, them brown people not like y'all. And we know we not like y'all too, because, yeah, I'm brown and we not like y'all. So we do need to decipher who's who, truthfully, right? This is all how they play this game of divide and conquer, and to really just throw us for a whole loop. Throw it for a whole loop. Now, I'm gonna let this play for a quick second, and then I'm gonna hop back on Kamala for a quick second, and we're just gonna end the video.
Steve Phillips has written a book called Brown is the New White, a New York Times #1 bestseller. And his argument is really simple. Democrats, if you want complete power in America, enduring power, stop wasting your time with the middle voters. Don't spend all of your money trying to convince 1 or 2% of independents to turn Democrat. There are millions of Democrats in the South who don't vote, mainly black, Latino minorities. Instead, put all of your money into getting them registered, getting them to the polls, run far left candidates of color, and then you'll win elections, and then you'll flip the South, and then you'll destroy the Republican Party as a force, and you will have complete power in America forever. That's the...
All right, so that's pretty much the gist. It doesn't, like, it's all a play. It's all divide and conquer. Now we're gonna go back to Kamala real quick and end it off with that, but I did want to give y'all a quick little his story or her story about them parents when Charlamagne brung them up. So real quick, okay, we back.
But that's what bugs me out about the criticism you receive, because it's like your parents were civil rights activists. You were born in Oakland. Oakland's a black ass town.
Oh yeah.
You went to Howard University. So why do people say things like she's pandering to black people?
They don't know me. And I, you know, listen, I think that also, you know, some folks have a limited vision of who we are as black people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's on them. That's not.
Now, that's why I say, yo, African-American Negro ass, yo, nigga ass ain't black. Because when you call yourself black, you leave the ambiguous door open for Indians, Asians, Mexican, anybody to say, hey, I'm black too. Latinos come, yeah, we black, bro. His story different. Our story different. You not. And we only holding on to that word based off because that's how y'all classify us. And it's the only way we can say y'all, we know how y'all identifying us. So that's the only reason why I keep saying black. Y'all hear me say so-called black almost all the time, because we not black. Relinquish yourself from the term. Nobody is black unless you want to be part of this foreign government being disenfranchised. And unless you want to be that, you aren't black. Nobody's black. Literally, nobody. No effing body. I'm bronze. I'm copper tone. So, hold on one second. So, if you want to know what color I am, find a penny, hold up a penny, be like, bro, I'm the same color as a penny, bro. You see how this penny is pretty much can camouflage on me? Because I am copper. I shine just like this penny. I'm copper tone, bro. Copper. So, somebody want to ask you, what color are you? I'm copper, bro. I ain't black. This hat black. Not my skin. Copper tone, man. So, hope y'all enjoyed this video. I can't go too long. It'll be an hour-long video. Let me know if y'all want me to make a part 2. I might, you know what? Y'all ain't gotta let me know. Depending on the views, depending on how this video goes, I may do a part 2. Give the half of the insight. Do slightly the other half of this Breakfast Club video and give a little bit more of her past. Or some funny memes or some shit. Like, I don't know. I'll figure it out. I see what I want to do. If you hear this long, like the video, subscribe to the channel, get in the comment section. If you hear this long, this is my real life opinion about this YouTube shit, period. I'm not sure if I want to gain traction politically and keep talking about this political stuff. I know it can get a lot of views. I know a lot of people interested in it. I can talk about a lot of stuff about it, but truly I'm not that interested in it. I'm really interested about a lot of other stuff, really his story, but we moving on with the times, everything about current events. So I'm gonna have to spoon feed and kind of surprise y'all with his story among these current events, so y'all can get a gist of what's really going on out here, because y'all have been told lies for so long. Y'all just, yeah, it's horrible out here. So yeah, that was my little 2 cents. Hope y'all enjoyed the video. Hope y'all rocking with me. Hope I can get some real followers, man. If you rocking with me, hit that like button. I'm trying to get to 100 followers by the end of August. Know what? Scratch that. 200 followers by the end of August. Y'all mess with me. This is Dundee. I'm out of here. Peace.